I wanted to talk a little bit about your backgrounds. And Dr. Sullivan, I was reading an interview that you've done in the past, and you said that during your first teaching assignment, the students looked at you like you were a unicorn because they were not used to male teachers.
Yeah, I taught fifth grade. I was a fifth grade teacher, and I taught at Dupie. Actually, I started off as a substitute teacher in Birmingham, but my first permanent position was at Dupie. And Samietta Drew was the principal at the time, and she hired 3 male teachers that year, and we were the only male teachers in the entire building, and we were all brand new teachers, and the kids had never been taught by a male teacher before, so they did kind of look at me like, yeah, who are you? And I remember, I wear a certain tie to work, and the kids would say, "Are you a preacher? Are you a preacher?" Because they didn't associate, being dressed up with having, to being a teacher. But that class, I still know many of the students in that class. That is where that's what's instilled the love for education for me, because I did not want to be a teacher when I went to school. I actually wanted to be a dentist. My neighbor, his name was Marshall Williams, actually has a dental office in North Birmingham. He just retired. But when I grew up, he was my neighbor, and I remember him having a nice orange Mustang, and he had a brand on his arm. I said, I want to be like that. But as you can tell, I changed all of that by But because my mother taught in Birmingham City Schools for 27 years, my aunt taught at North Birmingham Elementary School for 32 years. I had another aunt who was a lunchroom manager in Birmingham, worked in a lunchroom in Birmingham, and an uncle who was a custodian. And my grandfather, his sister, was the superintendent of Negro schools in Montgomery. They actually have a school named after her, Thelma Morris Elementary School. So I did not want to go anywhere near education. But when I was at A&M, I got activated for Desert Storm, and I was gone for 10 months. So I said, I came back, and I said, well, let me go ahead and I'll get my degree in education, and then I'll go back to doing dental work, going back to school to be a dentist. And I just started teaching and loved it. I loved every moment of, having the ability to see students when they come to you having a certain knowledge base, and because of what you have done, they leave knowing so much more, and the influence that you've had on students, and not just the academic influence, because many of the students didn't have a male role model. So we work with athletics with the school, just having conversations with students about just decisions and choices they need to make in life. It was really impactful. So I have loved every moment of being in education.
Talk a little bit about the importance of having male teachers, because even today I feel like they're still rare. And can you talk a little bit about why it's important to have male teachers?
I think both male and female students need to have diverse teachers, diverse perspectives in the classroom. I tell principals all the time, let's go down to your kindergarten and your pre-K classrooms. And if you go to kindergarten and pre-K, you will see that boys and girls are equally engaged in academics. Then I say, let's walk up to 4th and 5th grade. Then you start seeing this little boy sitting over in the corner because he's not behaving well, or this boy with his head on his desk. But you still see girls actively involved in the education process. And I think that sometimes, boys need to see that academics, being intelligent, is something to aspire to, And sometimes they see through videos, through music, even through just life and looking at the environment they grow up in, is that being intelligent, academically smart, is not something that they see as being cool. And I think being exposed to what masculinity looks like all along that spectrum, then boys can see, I can fit in here. It's okay for me to learn. It's okay for me not to behave a certain way. Or it's okay if I want to run and play because I have all this energy, and it's not looked at as a disciplinary issue, but it's looked at as a developmental issue. And so I think that having that different perspectives, it helps the boys as well as the girls. When I was a principal at Glen Iris, back then we read this book called Boys and Girls Learn Differently. And we experimented with some gender classes, like all boys classes, all girls classes. And it's interesting that we had a male teacher teaching the all girls class, and the girls learned from that, and we had a female teacher teaching the all boys class, and the boys learned in that way. And they both studied this book to see how these learning style differences help benefit students and help them learn. And we saw that those separate classes really outperformed the mixed classes. Now we had to get rid of that for different reasons, but just seeing that diversity, not just in male and female, but also linguistic. Right now we're opening up a school at Washington, right down the street, where we're doing a dual language immersion program where kids are learning English half of the day and Spanish half of the day, whether you're an English speaker, native English speaker, or a native Spanish speaker. So they need to see different perspectives, because I think it makes us stronger and it makes us better.